Hi, it's T. Michelle Birdsong, daughter of the sun, Eve, mother of all living. St. Patrick, as he is today. He is a she. St. Patrick has being in Melanie L. Spear. St. Patrick was a 5th century Romano British Christian missionary and bishop in Ireland. Known as the Apostle of Ireland, he is the primary patron saint of Ireland. Nationality Roman from the Catholic online site. Feast 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick of Ireland is one of the world's most popular saints. He was born in Roman Britain, and when he was 14 or so, he was captured by Irish pirates during a raiding party and taken to Ireland as a slave to herd and tend sheep. At the time, Ireland was a land of Druids and pagans, but Patrick turned to God and wrote his memoir, The Confession. In the Confession, he wrote, "The love of God and his fear grew in me more and more, as did the faith, and my soul was roused, so that in a single day I have said as many as 100 prayers, and in the night nearly the same. I prayed in the woods and on the mountain, even before dawn. I felt no hurt from the snow or ice or rain." Patrick's captivity lasted until he was 20, when he escaped after having a dream from God in which he was told to leave Ireland by going to the coast. There he found some sailors who took him back to Britain and was reunited with his family. A few years after returning home, Patrick saw a vision he described in his memoir. "I saw a man coming, as it were, from Ireland. His name was Victorcus, and he carried many letters, and he gave me one of them. I read the heading, 'The Voice of the Irish.' As I began the letter, I imagined in that moment that I heard the voice of those very people who were near the wood of Foucault, which is beside the Western Sea, and they cried out as with one voice, 'We appeal to you, holy servant boy, to come and walk among us.' The vision prompted his studies for the priesthood. He was ordained by Saint Germicus, the bishop of Auxerre, whom he had studied under for years, and was later ordained a bishop and sent to take the gospel to Ireland. Bishop definition, noun, first meaning, a senior member of the Christian clergy, usually in charge of a diocese and empowered to confer holy orders. In many Orthodox and Catholic churches, bishops are believed to be the successors to the original 12 apostles from the Bible's New Testament. That's King James Version of the Bible. Patrick arrived in Slane, Ireland on March 25th, 433. There are several legends about what happened next, with the most prominent claiming he met the chieftain of one of the Druid tribes who tried to kill him. After an intervention from God, Patrick was able to convert the chieftain and preach the gospel throughout Ireland. There he converted many people, eventually thousands, and he began building churches across the country. He often used shamrocks to explain the Holy Trinity, and entire kingdoms were eventually converted to Christianity after hearing Patrick's message. Patrick preached and converted all of Ireland for 40 years. He worked many miracles and wrote of his love for God in Confessions. After years of living in poverty, traveling, and enduring much suffering, he died March 17, 461. He died at Saul, where he had built the first Irish church. He is believed to be buried in Down Cathedral, Downpatrick. His grave was marked in 1990 with a granite stone in his footsteps. Patrick was a humble, pious gentleman whose love and total devotion to and trust in God should be a shining example to each of us. So complete was his trust in God and of the importance of his mission, he feared nothing, not even death. The breastplate, Patrick's poem of faith and trust in God. Christ be within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ inquired, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. Learning that St. Patrick now my daughter Melanie, had been a slave explains an incident that happened when she was a child. She came home from school one day and said the teacher made them lay on the floor so they would know what the slaves chained and laying on the floor of the bottom of the Muslim slave ships had felt like. Melanie was upset. I became upset, furious with the teacher. I said it was those slaves' karma. Melanie thought I was cold-hearted and unfeeling because I know now she did know what it felt like to have been a slave from when she'd been a slave as Patrick. Okay, and me telling her it was a slave's karma. It has been revealed that the slaves, the African slaves, the American blacks, were the original Hebrew, the original Jews, and they conspired to kill Christ, Jesus Christ. So their slavery and their poverty was to pay for having been the killers of Christ. And they were self-punishing themselves, and still are, even though they've paid in full. And it's time for them to stop punishing themselves and forgive themselves as Christ has forgiven them. Okay, so, plus to Melanie's mind, I wasn't not only not giving her sympathy before she hadn't been a slave, but I was saying she had done something to deserve being forced to be a slave. I was concerned that her liberal teacher from Friends Seminary, Melanie's Quaker school, the Quakers were abolitionists. They were against slavery. I was concerned that they were trying to make her feel guilty for slavery because she was white. I was telling her not to feel guilty. It was the slave's own fault. First of all, I was wrong about her being white. Her biological father was not my husband, a white man, Michael John Spear, a saint, Sawan Singh, and a pedophile, I've since discovered. Melanie's father was a light-skinned black American, Dr. Maestro Isaiah Allen Jackson. He has being as the prophet Isaiah. He foretold the coming of Jesus Christ the Messiah 700 years before he came. He wrote chapters 1 to 39 of the book of Isaiah in the King James Version of the Bible, with the balance of the book written by other prophets. According to site Bible Study Tools, Isaiah is a book that unveils the full dimensions of God's judgment and salvation. Okay. There's a shamrock. And you see it? There. That's Melanie Lynn Spear. The Italian explorer Christopher Columbus also has being in Melanie Lynn Spear. St. Patrick has being in Melanie Lynn Spear. Cleopatra, Pharaoh and Queen of Egypt, has being in Melanie Lynn Spear. Her brothers raped her. When she came of age, she had them killed. One of her brothers she killed herself. Cleopatra, lover of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, takes her life. The definition of rape. It's a noun from dictionary.com. 1. The first meaning: unlawful sexual intercourse or any other sexual penetration of the vagina, anus, or mouth of another person with or without force by a sex organ, other body part, or foreign object without the voluntary consent of the victim. Cleopatra takes her life following the defeat of her forces against Octavian, the future first emperor of Rome. St. Patrick, Melanie, has in his subconscious program, I am a slave. Cleopatra, Melanie, has in her subconscious program, I am a killer. I am a rape victim. Our subconscious mind, our habit mind, rules 95% of our day, our reality. Melanie Lynn was raped at 2 years old by Jason Llewellyn, the 12-year-old son of her mother's friend, Linda Llewellyn. Jason has being as Cleopatra's killed brother. Okay, this is Jason. And this is his mother, Linda Llewellyn. Jason Llewellyn. Cheek to cheek with his mother, Linda Llewellyn, who has being as Mary, Queen of Scots. Melanie's mother, T. Michelle Birdsong, has being as Elizabeth I, Queen of England, who finally agreed to Mary's beheading after Mary had betrayed her twice. This is a picture of Sing Birdsong, T. Michelle Birdsong's son. King James, Mary, Queen of Scots, was his mother. He has being in Robin Michelle Birdsong, current daughter of T. Michelle Birdsong, Elizabeth I, Queen of England. You see that conflict? She has two mothers. And one beheaded, had the other beheaded. And they were best friends this life for a long time. And this is Linda Llewellyn's daughter, Rochelle, who has being as the Lone Ranger. Cleopatra's rapist brother and Melanie's rapist, Jason Llewellyn. He died in Africa of malaria. This is Sing Birdsong, Melanie's brother this life. He adores her. Melanie Lynn was raped again at age 16. She has in her subconscious program, I am a rape victim. Her rapist was her other rapist brother when Melanie had been Cleopatra. Cleopatra, Melanie had in her subconscious program, I killed myself, because she had committed suicide. When Melanie was mentally tortured due to poverty, though he had been being as a genius painter, Vincent van Gogh, he shot himself in the head at age 32, killing himself. We go on repeating our patterns until we become conscious of them, of what is in our subconscious programming. One way of becoming aware of what is in your subconscious is by doing talk and share therapy. This is a picture of Vincent van Gogh, who has being in Melanie Lynn Spear. And this is it from the Van Gogh Gallery. Vincent van Gogh self-portrait. Vincent van Gogh painted over 30 self-portraits between the years. Well, I can't see them. Van Gogh's poverty drove him crazy. Recently, one of his paintings sold for $60 million. Van Gogh has being in, I think that was in New York, at Christie's auction house. Van Gogh has being as poverty-stricken, mentally tortured Melanie L. Spear. For years, St. Patrick lived in poverty and traveled preaching the gospel, enduring much suffering. Melanie has I am poor in her subconscious programming. She and her children constantly move from place to place, enduring much suffering. You see, she's repeating those patterns. That's what we do. Her children are martyrs and saints. Melanie, as Cleopatra, has in her subconscious programming, I kill. She killed, aborted her baby. She still feels guilty for this. She has in her subconscious mind, I am guilty of murdering my child. I am a very bad mother. Mind means my train of thought. IND is the 8th Avenue subway train line. Our beliefs dictate our thoughts. Our thoughts dictate our actions. Our actions dictate our results. Our results confirm our beliefs. Our reality is what we believe. When Melanie was the daughter of Sally and John Kendricks, John raped her. He was her father. Sally had 5 children and no marketable skills. She had no way of supporting her children and herself. She turned a blind eye to her pedophile husband, John, who now has being as Hassan, the manager of the building of St. Francis of Assisi Residence 3 in Manhattan. Melanie has in her subconscious programming, my mother doesn't help me. Sally's eyes grew cataracts and actually blinded her. She had suffered more watching her daughter suffer the bullying of John than if she'd given her away or put her in foster care. But she didn't want to abandon her child. Okay, so that's part 1 of St. Patrick as he is today. I will post part 2 after I've uploaded this part 1 to YouTube. Thank you for watching.